Dear students, I am Ms. Rajkala and today we are going to see on a very important but less anticipated issue on how to handle emergency situations in a hospitality industry. So, what do we mean by an emergency situation? Emergency situation is any situation that poses an immediate risk to life, health, property or environment. Emergencies cannot be anticipated. So, it can occur at any time due to various reasons like earthquake, bomb blast, fire, etc. Safety should be the first priority when handling emergency cases. Hence, the management of any hospitality industry must ensure reasonable safety and care for guests as well as the employees. This module will help you to understand the various emergency situations arising in a hospitality industry and prepare an emergency action plan prior to any unexpected situations. After successful completion of this module, you will be able to list the different types of emergencies that occur in hotels, plan and manage emergency situations with ease, understand the responsibility of housekeeping and front office staffs with respect to emergency situations. First, let us see on the different types of emergencies. Emergencies can be natural or man-made, and it may disrupt or shut down the operation of any organization. There are two types of emergencies. They are natural emergency and man-made emergency. Example of natural emergencies are floods, hurricanes, earthquakes, tsunamis, etc. And man-made emergencies are fires, bomb scares, toxic gas leakage, chemical spills, radiological accidents, explosions, civil disturbances and workplace violence resulting in bodily harm and trauma. Most of the time, the damage is more due to panic and ignorance than the emergency itself. In order to cope with the situation and prevent or minimize the damage, the management should be well prepared for all kinds of emergencies. Advanced planning and training is essential for all the employees to respond timely to emergency alarms. Hence, a good action plan has to be developed by assuming the after effects of potential emergencies. Now, let us see what is meant by an action plan. An action plan is the procedure to be developed and followed by the employers and employees to safeguard the life of guests, employees as well as the property. Any plan should be tailor-made to that particular establishment. The more prepared you are, the more likely you are to reduce losses and to rebuild faster after a loss. Emergency preparedness is the ability to react appropriately to a disaster. Now, let us see on management of disasters. There are 4 phases in an action plan which need to be planned before any disaster occurs. They are preparedness phase, response phase, recovery phase and mitigation phase. Now, let us see one by one. Preparedness phase. This is also called as the planning phase, where you decide on how to respond to an incident prior to disasters. Example, preparedness plans, emergency training or exercises and warning systems. Next is the response phase. These are activities during a disaster. Example, public warning systems, emergency operations, search and rescue. Next is the recovery phase. These are activities following a disaster. For example, temporary housing, claims processing and grants, medical care and counseling. The next phase is the mitigation phase. This is the phase where steps have to be taken to ensure that the same incident does not occur again. Common emergency situations. Now, let us see on some of the common emergency situations and the means to overcome the situation. Natural disasters. Natural disasters such as floods, earthquakes, tsunamis, volcanic eruptions, landslides, hurricanes do happen all over the world. It is important that the employees have emergency drills in which they have to carry out a mock rescue operation. Most hotels have smoke detectors and fire alarms throughout the entire complex that is monitored 24 hours a day and on all the 7 days a week. This helps to pinpoint the exact point of the alarm, allowing the security staff to respond immediately to the area of alarm. What do we mean by an emergency alarm? These are alarms used to intimate emergency situations to the staff and the guests. Alarms have to be distinctive and loud enough to be heard by everyone. All the staffs must respond to emergency alarms and follow certain basic instructions. They are to check for any sign of immediate danger, shut down all the equipments, follow the exit signs to evacuate, escort the guests and those who require assistance, lifts should not be strictly used, should move towards to the assembly area, should not re-enter the evacuated building until the all clear signal has been given. Next, we will see on handling bomb threats by the front office staffs. Whether the bomb threat is received by phone or any other means, the person receiving the call should be alert enough to note down certain very basic informations of the caller if the caller did not mention the same. For example, where the bomb is located, when is it going to explode, how does the bomb look like, what are the reasons for placing the bomb, what is your name, and so on, so as to capture informations about the caller like the time the call was received and on which telephone number or extension number, caller's telephone number if the hotel has an operator board which displays the caller's telephone number, the exact words of the person making the threat, listening to any background noises such as honking of vehicles, sound of trains, loud music, etc., gender of the caller, and if possible also the approximate age and any other particular accent. Sometimes the caller may provide specific information by answering these questions. It would be helpful to the police and officials if any additional information is obtained. The employee receiving the call should notify the manager and police immediately and provide a completed bomb threat checklist. Then initiate the evacuation procedure once the same has been received from the police. Now, let us see on the evacuation policy and the procedure to be followed. Only under emergency situations like bomb threat or fire, an evacuation of the building may be ordered. In minor cases only, shutting off gases, electricity or water may be instructed. In case of national disasters, it is prudent to listen to radio or TV news to keep oneself informed and follow official orders. A disorganized evacuation can result in confusion, injury and property damage or sometimes even death. Hence, the evacuation routes and emergency escape procedures are to be placed in easily accessible areas in all the floors which can be viewed by everyone. The following things should be taken care by hotels for the facility of guests and employees. Emergency telephone numbers of both individuals within and outside the organization should be provided. Alternative communication center in case of fire or explosion has to be given. Fire extinguishers on all the floors with instructions of operating it. The escape route has to be clearly marked and it should be well lit. It should be spacious enough to accommodate the evacuating people. The emergency exit route should not expose to additional hazards. There should be designated assembly areas where employees can gather after evacuating. Head count has to be taken and informed to the official in charge of those who haven't escaped, and also providing transportation to off-site locations. Actions to be taken after a suspicious object have been found. When an unidentified object or package is found, the finder must not attempt to move or handle it. He should notify it to the designated emergency response room and provide details of it like location of the object, reasons why they consider it as suspicious, description of the object, any other useful information about the object, establish control of the area and ensure that no one approaches or attempts to move the object. Sometimes it might be a legitimate property of any innocent person who would have misplaced it prior to the bomb threat. If an unidentified object is found and a bomb threat also has been received, a quiet and systematic evacuation from the area should be initiated. Reoccupation of the building is a decision that must be made by senior management in consultation with the police. If the evacuation was made without a search, the premises should be thoroughly searched before reoccupying the facility. Now, let us see on the guidelines for handling guest complaints. In any service industry like hotels, complaints always go side by side whenever you try to sell any service or product. All the customers will need to be satisfied with the services. People might get angry or feel unhappy for various reasons like not getting proper services, staffs, or bad quality of food in restaurants. The basic golden rule is don't panic or be offensive. Try to professionally deal all sorts of complaints. This is a great chance to show the professionalism. Honesty is the best policy when dealing with guest complaints. Now, let us see how we have to handle a guest when a guest complains. Greet and acknowledge the guest. Invite the guest to manager's room for discussion. Apologize for the inconvenience caused and do not argue. Listen with concern and empathy. Show some personal interest in the problem. Intimate the guest that you will follow up immediately and solve the problem. Investigate the department and get a solution for the problem. Follow up to solve the problem, check with the customer and ensure satisfaction. Always thank the customer for bringing the problem to the management. Death of a guest in the hotel. The information about the death of a guest should first be informed to the front desk. The front desk should immediately report to the resident manager and the security manager. The police should be informed and also the doctor should be made to arrive who can check and confirm the death. The dead body should not be touched or disturbed till the police arrives to the spot, as it can be a suicide case or murder. The management should find the residential address of the deceased and the telephone number of the relatives to be immediately intimated. The dead body should be fully covered and removed from the room only after the permission of police, stating that all the formalities are completed. Only the service elevator should be used and not the guest elevators. A document has to be prepared and maintained as to the name of the person who died, the name of the informer, the date, the time, the room number and the place of death. The belongings or the luggage list of the deceased should be prepared and kept in luggage room and have to be handed over to the relatives after their arrival to the spot. The room has to be locked and sealed and can be sold again to another customer only after obtaining clearance certificate from the police. Now, let us see on handling accident cases. Knowledge of first aid would be very helpful in situations of sudden accidents. The following things have to be taken care when handling accident victims. Take the victim from the site of accident as soon as possible to a more comfortable place where there is fresh air using a stretcher in case there is a need. Always have one more person along for help. Call the physician to the site and provide him with the details of accident as to how it happened. Provide the victim with first aid by a trained personnel in case the physician is not available, or take him to a nearby hospital or clinic in an ambulance. Try to protect the establishment from any false allegations by being very responsible. Document the details of the accidents such as date, time, room number and place where it occurred. Also, provide the comments on the reason for the accident and how it can be prevented or how it can be avoided in future. An accident book has to be maintained by all the organizations, which can be easily accessible by the employees to note down the details. This will be very helpful for the management to take corrective actions. Damage of hotel property by the guest. It is unfortunate that even the wealthiest of guests may have a propensity to pilfer a hotel's property as a souvenir. This normally happens at checkout when a guest leaves the hotel with a variety of items, virtually anything that is not securely fastened down, like soaps, towels, mats, bed sheets, blankets, coat hangers, lamps, electric kettles, TV sets and even plumbing fixtures. This pilferage for a prolonged period may cause heavy loss for the organization. If the damage appears to be done intentionally, the hotel can ask the guest to pay compensation for the same. For this, it is necessary that the front office is well versed with the cost of the damaged item. The organization can take precautions to prevent all these theft, like installing automatic locks on guest room doors, appointing a security officer who would go around at regular and irregular intervals throughout the organization, inform guests to use the safety locker of the hotel and not to keep valuables in the guest room, keep a watch on walk-ins as their likelihood of being a thief is more as compared to a guest who has undergone a process of making a reservation in the hotel. Avoid giving room numbers of resident guests to the visitors. In case the guest loses his key and asks the housekeeping to open the room, housekeeping should direct him to the front desk. Master key should be kept under strict supervision and control. Theft by outside visitors can be avoided by being aware of the suspicious people. Stagger lunch and rest periods of employees so as to keep one person on duty on each floor at all times. The telephone operator should not connect calls to the guest room in case the request is made by the caller asking him for the room number. The receptionist should insist on knowing the name of the guest whom the caller wishes to speak to. Guests should be informed to keep the balcony door closed to avoid anyone entering the rooms from the balcony. Closed circuit televisions should also be used. Situation of illness and epidemics. When any of the guests or staff is in sick condition, it should be immediately informed to the front office staff or the receptionist. The patient should be taken immediately to in-house physician or to the family doctor of the patient. Housekeeping staffs also need to be intimated about the sickness and instructions, if any. In the case of serious sickness, the guest should be moved to a nearby hospital or nursing home. During epidemics, the management has to take all the precautionary measures given by the health department to prevent the spread of infection. Handling a drunken guest. The guest should be removed from the lobby as early as possible but being careful not to irritate or offend him and should not be argued with. Preferably, he or she should be taken to the back office or to his room very politely. If he behaves unruly, the hotel security must be called. Vandalism. The staff must call the hotel security and order the main door to be locked in case of vandalism. If the things go beyond the level, then police must be called immediately. The guests should be advised to remain inside the hotel. Do not panic and act on unauthentic news. Discourage rumors and do not spread any information that you are not sure of yourself. Ensure security of life over the property. If there is any damage to the property, then the front office staff can be instructed to raise charge for the value of the damaged property. Next, we will see on gas leaks. Many of the buildings will be installed and serviced by natural gas. This natural gas can be easily detected by odor or smell. Natural gas will quickly dissipate in naturally ventilated areas and pose a risk of fire or explosion. Despite this, avoid the use of mobile phones in the immediate area. If the gas leak is detected outside a building, alert the people to move away and call the security. If the gas leak is detected inside a building, warn anyone in immediate danger. Notify the local emergency responders. Evacuate to a well ventilated external area and call the security personnel. To conclude, emergencies, as we have seen already, will occur suddenly and sometimes disastrously and can leave you feeling overwhelmed and powerless. Being prepared for emergencies can lessen some of these feelings. Preparedness to handle any emergency in a tactful way with predetermined procedures as per the organization is very essential to prevent dangers to health, life, environment or property. The situation may worsen if untrained individuals involve themselves in rescue operation and may end up in hurting themselves. Saving life needs more than will and courage. Hence, it is generally wise to train and equip employees or to leave the rescue work to the certified people. Thank you very much, students, for the patient listening. I hope you are clear with the precautionary measures to be taken during emergency situations in a hotel.